And I didn't realise, but talking to him the other day, he was already showing that he was getting a bit confused and a bit sort of annoyed by the fact they went out litter picking one day.
A sudden announcement from inside the palace has sparked a wave of disbelief. Officials have confirmed the results of a secret DNA test involving Prince Louis, and nothing about it matches what the public expected. For months, tension grew behind closed doors as experts ran deeper checks, trying to settle questions no one thought would ever be asked. Now that the findings are official, the royal family's carefully protected image has been shaken to its core. Everything the public believed about the royal bloodline is suddenly in question, and the fallout from this revelation is only beginning. Whispers at a royal event. On a very sunny day at one of the royal events, Prince Louis walked through the garden party holding his mother's hand. The summer afternoon brought hundreds of guests to the palace grounds. Catherine smiled at people while William greeted officials near the main tent. Their youngest son looked around at the crowd with curious eyes. Photographers captured every moment as the family moved through the event. Meanwhile, people noticed something different about Louis that day. His hair caught the sunlight in an unusual way. His facial features seemed distinct from his older siblings. Social media users began posting observations within minutes. The comments started innocently enough with simple questions about family resemblances. Soon, the posts multiplied across different platforms. It wasn't long before someone created a comparison image showing all three Wales children side by side. George had William's strong features and Kate's eyes. Charlotte resembled her mother almost perfectly. Louis appeared different in ways people struggled to explain. The post went viral within hours, as thousands shared it with their own observations and theories. Royal watchers joined the conversation with detailed analysis. They pulled up old photographs from various events over the years. Each image seemed to support the growing belief that Louis stood apart from his siblings. The discussions moved from casual observation to serious speculation. Nobody wanted to say the words directly, but everyone thought the same thing. Kate eventually noticed people staring more intensely than usual during the garden party. She felt their eyes studying Louis with extra attention. William sensed the shift in atmosphere, but continued smiling and greeting guests. Both parents instinctively moved closer to their youngest child. They created a protective circle around him without discussing why. The online theories became more elaborate as night fell. Some people claimed to have inside information about the hospital where Louis was born. Others suggested they had evidence of unusual circumstances surrounding his arrival. Anonymous accounts posted detailed stories about potential mix-ups or substitutions, and so the rumors spread faster than anyone could control. Television programs picked up the story by evening. Entertainment shows displayed the comparison photos during their segments. Hosts, on the other hand, carefully avoided making direct accusations, but encouraged viewers to draw their own conclusions. While these were going on, the palace remained silent. It wasn't the first time. Even royal families in other nations faced similar speculation about their own children. Meanwhile, Kate's parents saw the reports and immediately called their daughter. They expressed concern about the growing narrative and its effect on Louis. William's friends also reached out with messages of support. Palace staff monitored the situation closely while preparing possible response strategies. Everyone felt the weight of the accusations hanging in the air. School officials at George and Charlotte's institution received questions from other parents. They wondered if the rumors held any truth or represented baseless gossip. Louis remained unaware of the storm gathering around him. He played with his toys and enjoyed time with his siblings. George and Charlotte heard whispers, but their parents shielded them from the worst comments. The family maintained their normal routine despite the chaos outside their walls. The Wales family became the center of global attention for reasons nobody anticipated. Some old friends of William and Kate came forward defending the family. They shared personal stories about Louis's early years and his clear connection to his parents. Though their statements did little to slow the spreading theories, people wanted definitive proof rather than emotional testimonies. Within the following days, medical experts appeared on television to discuss the possibility of genetic variations within families. They explained how children sometimes look different from their siblings for normal reasons. Scientists detailed the complex nature of inherited traits and features. Still, their logical explanations failed to satisfy the public's appetite for drama. The palace's media and communications team held emergency meetings about handling the crisis. They debated whether silence or engagement served the family better. Some argued that responding would legitimize baseless rumors. Others believed transparency might end the speculation quickly. However, the discussions continued without reaching clear consensus. William and Kate had watched the news coverage together. They saw their son's face being analyzed and discussed by strangers around the world. The couple felt anger and helplessness in equal measure. They knew Louis deserved better than becoming the subject of cruel theories. Something had to change before the situation caused permanent damage to their family. The anonymous letters. 1 week after the speculation started circulating, the first letter arrived in the morning in a plain white envelope. Palace mail staff sorted through hundreds of items as they did every day, and noticed that this particular envelope had no return address and neat handwriting across the front. The letter inside contained 4 typed pages with specific details about the day Louis was born. Security personnel examined the contents carefully before passing it to senior staff. The writer claimed to have worked at the private hospital where Catherine gave birth. They described unusual circumstances during that April evening in 2018. The letter also mentioned a brief power outage that affected the maternity ward. Staff had moved quickly to ensure all mothers and babies remained safe during the incident. The anonymous writer provided exact times and locations within the hospital. They described which rooms Catherine occupied and when medical staff moved her during the emergency. The level of detail suggested genuine inside knowledge rather than invented stories. Someone had clearly been present during those critical hours. A second letter arrived 3 days later with additional information. This one described the other baby born that same night in an adjacent room. The writer explained how both newborns ended up in the same temporary location during the power outage. Medical staff worked by emergency lighting while ensuring both infants received proper care. The confusion of that moment created possibilities for error. Palace officials debated whether the letters deserved serious attention. Some dismissed them as elaborate hoaxes designed to exploit recent speculation. Others worried that ignoring potential truth could lead to bigger problems later. The letters sat in a secure office while senior advisors discussed their options. During a routine security briefing was when William learned about the letters. His face remained calm, but his hands gripped the armrests tightly. He asked to see the documents himself, despite protocol suggesting otherwise. The pages felt heavy in his hands as he read each word carefully. Everything inside him wanted to dismiss the claims as lies. Catherine found out that evening when William showed her the letters. She read them twice in complete silence. Her mind traveled back to that night when Louis arrived. She remembered feeling exhausted and overwhelmed by the birth. The power outage had frightened her briefly before staff assured her everything was under control. She recalled nurses moving quickly through rooms and hallways trying to fix things. Then a third letter arrived the following week with photographs attached. The images showed the hospital's maternity ward layout from that specific time period. Certain areas were circled in red pen with handwritten notes explaining staff movements during the emergency. The writer had documented their claims with supporting evidence that looked disturbingly legitimate. Palace lawyers examined the letters for any identifying information. They found nothing that revealed the sender's identity. The paper came from common office supply stores. The envelope matched millions sold across the country. Even the typing style gave no clues about who sat behind the keyboard. Someone had taken great care to remain anonymous. After seeing the letters, Catherine stopped sleeping well. She would lay awake replaying memories of Louis's birth. Every detail that once seemed normal now carried potential significance. She questioned her own recollections and wondered if exhaustion had prevented her from noticing something important. William even found her staring at baby photos in the middle of the night. For them to be able to make sense of the situation, the couple requested hospital records from that evening. Staff pulled files showing admissions, room assignments, and timing of all births. 2 babies had indeed been born within an hour of each other. The power outage lasted 17 minutes according to maintenance logs. and both mothers and infants received excellent care throughout the incident. Nothing in the official records suggested any problems. Soon, a fourth letter arrived containing more disturbing details. The writer described specific staff members who worked that night without naming them directly. They claimed to have overheard conversations in hallways that raised concerns, but never formally reported it. The anonymous source explained that their silence for years was out of fear for their career, but recent speculation finally pushed them to reveal what they knew. Palace investigators tried tracing where the letters were posted. The stamps came from different postal codes across London. Someone was moving around the city to mail each envelope from various locations. This level of planning suggested serious intent rather than casual mischief. Every letter carried risks for the family and especially for Louis, and the boy deserved protection from adult problems he couldn't understand. Catherine talked with her mother about the situation. She needed someone outside the palace system to provide perspective. Her mother listened carefully before offering simple advice about trusting maternal instinct. Catherine had carried Louis for 9 months and knew him from his first breath. No letter could change that bond. Yet ignoring the letters felt increasingly impossible. A fifth letter arrived, promising it would be the last. The writer urged the palace to conduct DNA testing for everyone's peace of mind. They claimed no malicious intent, but rather concern for truth and justice. The letter ended with an apology for causing distress, but insisted the matter required resolution. At that point, William and Catherine knew they faced a decision that would change everything. The shocking realization from another family. A young woman sat in her small living room watching the evening news. The television showed footage of Prince Louis at a royal event. Her husband walked in carrying their 7-year-old son Thomas from the bathroom. The boy had just finished his bath and wore pajamas covered in cartoon characters. The woman glanced at her son and then back at the television screen. Something caught her attention in a way it never had before while watching the television program. She asked her husband to wait a moment before taking their son to bed. The news segment continued showing different angles of the young prince. She studied the child's features carefully. Her heart began beating faster as she noticed similarities she had never considered before. Confused, the man asked what was wrong, but his wife couldn't find words immediately. She picked up her phone and searched for more images of Prince Louis. Dozens of photographs appeared showing the boy at various ages and events. She held the phone next to her son's face and felt her hands start shaking. The resemblance seemed impossible to ignore once she really looked. Thomas had always been different from both parents in obvious ways. His hair color matched neither the mother's dark brown nor the father's light blonde. His eyes carried a shade of blue that nobody in either family possessed. His facial structure seemed refined in ways that didn't match their working-class features. They had always explained these differences as random genetic variations. The young woman showed her husband the comparison on her phone. He laughed at first, thinking she was joking, but his smile faded when he saw her serious expression. The man took the phone and studied the images more carefully. He looked at Thomas standing between them and back at the screen. The similarities were undeniable once someone pointed them out. Before then, the couple had discussed their son's differences before, but never seriously. Thomas was intelligent beyond his years. He showed interest in classical music and art that neither parent introduced. Teachers often commented on his natural grace and manners, and both parents had felt proud of these qualities without questioning their origin. Thomas was born at a private hospital in London on the same date as Prince Louis. His mother remembered the experience clearly because of complications during delivery. Medical staff had moved her between rooms several times that night. A power outage had caused temporary chaos in the maternity ward, and nurses worked quickly to ensure all mothers and babies remained safe during the emergency. The woman recalled feeling confused and exhausted after giving birth. Staff brought her baby wrapped in blankets while the hospital operated on backup power. She held her newborn in dim lighting and felt overwhelming love despite her exhaustion. Her husband arrived minutes later and met his son for the first time. Neither parent questioned anything in those emotional moments. Thomas's birth had been hectic and overwhelming. In the first few weeks, the mother struggled with recovery while learning to care for a newborn, while her husband juggled work responsibilities with supporting his wife and new son. They brought Thomas home and focused on survival through sleepless nights and constant feedings. Months passed before life settled into normal routines. Since hearing the rumors, the woman began searching online for information about hospital mix-ups. She found stories from other countries where babies were accidentally switched at birth. Most cases involved chaos, emergencies, or system failures during critical moments. The scenarios matched her own experience more closely than she wanted to admit. However, her husband suggested they were overthinking random coincidences. He argued that many children look different from their parents for normal genetic reasons. The woman wanted to believe him but couldn't shake the feeling that something was fundamentally wrong. She had always felt a slight distance from Thomas that she blamed on postpartum difficulties. At night, the couple stayed awake discussing possibilities until early morning. They reviewed every memory from the hospital and Thomas's early life. Small details that seemed insignificant before now carried new weight. The way nurses had been rushed and distracted. The confusion about which baby belonged in which room. The apologetic tone staff used when discussing the power outage. What if Thomas wasn't theirs? That means the royal family was raising the baby she actually delivered. That child would be the same age as Thomas and living a completely different life. The thought made her feel sick with grief and confusion. The man worried about what the investigation might mean for their family. Thomas was their son regardless of biology. They had raised him and loved him for 7 good years. DNA couldn't change the bond they had built through daily care and devotion. Yet they also understood they might be keeping a child from his true parents. Thomas called from his bedroom asking for water. His mother went to him and stared at his face in the nightlight's glow. She saw a stranger and her beloved son at the same time. The internal conflict tore at her heart. She brought him water and kissed his forehead before returning to her husband. Then the couple decided to contact the hospital first, before approaching anyone else. They needed information about that night, and whether mix-ups were even possible. The woman drafted an email to the hospital administration describing their concerns. Her finger hovered over the send button for several minutes. Clicking it would start a process they couldn't reverse. Her husband held her other hand as she finally pressed send. Their lives would never be the same again. The royal palace decides to take action. The emergency meeting began at 7 in the morning behind closed doors. Senior palace advisors gathered in a private conference room with serious expressions. William and Catherine sat at the head of the table looking exhausted from sleepless nights. The letters and growing speculation had created a crisis requiring immediate decision. The palace's chief communications advisor argued strongly for ignoring the rumors completely. He believed engaging with baseless speculation would legitimize conspiracy theories. Royal families had weathered worse storms by maintaining dignified silence. The public's attention span was short, and people would move on to new topics within weeks. This situation went beyond typical tabloid gossip into territory requiring careful handling. Catherine spoke quietly about her concerns for Louis's future. The boy would eventually learn about these rumors as he grew older. She wanted him to know his parents had pursued truth, rather than hiding from difficult questions. Children deserved honesty even when adults found it painful to provide. William supported his wife's position despite his own fears. He explained that DNA testing would either confirm Louis as their son or reveal an unthinkable mistake. Either outcome was better than years of speculation and doubt. The family needed certainty to move forward with their lives. However, the private secretary raised practical concerns about testing procedures. Any laboratory work would require absolute secrecy to prevent leaks, and results needed verification from multiple independent sources to satisfy public scrutiny. The process would take time and careful coordination with medical professionals. Catherine asked about the other family who had contacted the hospital. She wanted to know everything about them and their situation. Staff provided basic information about the family and their son Thomas, the boy who was born the same night as Louis at the same hospital. His parents noticed had similarities after seeing recent news coverage. The room fell silent as everyone processed the implications. Two families now questioned their children's identities based on the same evening's events. The probability of coincidence seemed impossibly small. Something had happened that night that nobody wanted to acknowledge. William requested copies of all hospital records from Louis's birth. He wanted to review every detail himself before making final decisions. Staff promised to obtain complete documentation, including maintenance reports about the power outage. Every piece of information might prove relevant during investigation. The royal physician joined the meeting to discuss testing protocols. He explained how DNA analysis worked and what results would definitively prove. Samples from William, Catherine, and Louis would need collection under secure conditions. Independent laboratories would analyze the genetic material and compare markers between family members. Catherine asked how long results would take. The physician estimated between 1 and 2 weeks depending on laboratory schedules. Every day of waiting would feel endless, but rushing could compromise accuracy. The family needed to prepare mentally for an extended period of uncertainty. The communications advisor asked about managing public perception during testing. The palace could either announce their actions or conduct everything secretly. While public announcement might stop speculation, it would also intensify media attention. However, secret testing risked looking deceptive if discovered later. William decided transparency served everyone better than secrecy. He wanted a brief official statement explaining the family's decision to pursue DNA testing. The announcement would acknowledge recent speculation and confirm their commitment to truth. Furthermore, the results would be shared publicly once available. Palace lawyers discussed potential legal implications of various outcomes. If testing confirmed Louis as William and Catherine's biological son, the family could pursue legal action against those who spread false claims. If results revealed a hospital mistake, complex questions about custody and identity would require resolution. Catherine felt tears building but refused to let them fall during the meeting. She thought about Louis playing with his siblings at that exact moment. The boy had no idea that adults were discussing his identity and future. All she wanted at that point was to protect him from this nightmare, but knew she couldn't. The private secretary began organizing logistics for the testing process. Every step required careful planning to maintain confidentiality. William asked what they should tell Louis about the medical procedures. The physician suggested treating it as routine health screening that all family members underwent regularly. The boy was too young to understand complex explanations about DNA and identity. Simple answers would suffice until they knew more. The meeting concluded with clear assignments for everyone present. Staff would obtain hospital records, arrange laboratory testing, and prepare public statements. The private secretary would contact approved laboratories and arrange secure sample collection. William and Catherine would focus on maintaining normal family routines while waiting for results. Everyone understood the next 2 weeks would test them all. Catherine stood and walked to the window overlooking the palace gardens. She saw Louis playing outside with his security detail nearby. The boy laughed at something his guard said and ran across the grass. Her heart ached with love and fear in equal measure as she whispered a prayer that testing would confirm what she desperately wanted to believe. William joined her at the window and took her hand. They watched their son and prepared for whatever truth awaited them. William and Kate's private crisis. The palace felt different once DNA samples were collected and sent to laboratories. William and Catherine moved through their daily schedules with forced smiles and heavy hearts. Every interaction with Louis carried new weight and unspoken questions. The boy remained happily unaware while his parents struggled with devastating possibilities. Catherine found herself studying Louis's face during quiet moments. She memorized every feature as if seeing him for the first time. His laugh still sounded like music to her ears. His small hand felt perfect in hers. Yet doubt crept into spaces that once held only certainty and love. William caught his wife staring at their son during breakfast. He recognized the pain in her eyes because he felt it too. They had created their family with joy and intention. Louis had been wanted and celebrated from the moment they knew Catherine was pregnant. The idea that he might not be theirs biologically seemed impossible to accept. The couple avoided discussing how they felt in front of palace staff. They retreated to their private quarters for conversations about fears and possibilities. Catherine cried often during these talks while William held her. He tried staying strong, but sometimes his own tears fell freely. Meanwhile, Louis asked why his mother seemed sad lately. But Catherine blamed exhaustion from busy schedules and pulled him close for extra hugs. The boy accepted her explanation and returned to playing with his toys. His innocent trust made everything harder for both parents. William found old videos from Louis's first year on his phone. He watched the baby learning to crawl and take first steps. Catherine appeared in many clips looking tired but radiant with new motherhood. William remembered those days so clearly. The sleepless nights and constant feedings had bonded them to their son in powerful ways. Catherine visited the nursery where Louis slept as an infant. She touched the crib that held him during his earliest months. Every memory felt precious now that uncertainty threatened their foundation. She questioned whether a mother could feel such a deep connection to a child who wasn't biologically hers. The couple discussed what they would do if testing revealed Louis wasn't their biological son. William insisted it wouldn't change his love or commitment as a father. Catherine agreed but worried about the legal and royal protocol implications. The crown had specific rules about bloodlines and succession that couldn't be ignored. The couple avoided George and Charlotte's questions about the tension at home. Their older children sensed something was wrong, but couldn't understand the adult complexities. William and Catherine maintained normal routines to provide stability during the crisis. Yet nighttime brought the worst moments when sleep refused to come. The thought of causing Louis any pain made William's chest tighten with anxiety. William lay awake imagining scenarios where Louis learned the truth. He pictured his son feeling rejected or confused about his identity. Catherine, too, worried about their biological child if one existed elsewhere. Some family was raising a boy who rightfully belonged with them. That child had missed 7 years of royal life and family bonding. She felt guilty for not discovering the truth sooner, even though no one could have known. During the waiting period, Louis developed a small cold. Catherine obsessed over his symptoms and called doctors repeatedly. William recognized her anxiety had little to do with the minor illness. She needed to care for Louis in tangible ways while feeling helpless about bigger questions. Although palace staff noticed the change in both parents, they respected their privacy. Fewer official engagements were scheduled to give the family space. William and Catherine spent more time at home focusing on their children and each other. While Catherine was looking through Louis's baby book one afternoon, she saw where she had documented his first smile, first word, and countless milestones. Every page represented memories built through daily life together. DNA couldn't erase the history they had created as a family. William talked with his father Charles about the situation. The older man listened carefully and offered support without judgment. Charles reminded his son that family was built through love and commitment, not just biology. His words provided small comfort during a dark time. The couple made plans for various outcomes. If Louis was theirs biologically, they would address the false rumors publicly. If he wasn't, they faced impossible choices about his future and relationship with their biological son. No option felt good or easy. Catherine spent extra time reading to Louis before bed each night. She savored his warmth against her side and the sound of his breathing. William watched his wife and son together during story time. These moments felt sacred and fragile. She wanted to freeze time and keep everything exactly as it was. William saw the bond between them that transcended genetics or royal duty. They were mother and son in every way that truly mattered. Whatever the test results showed wouldn't change that fundamental truth. The final days before results arrived felt endless. Every phone call made both parents jump with anticipation and dread. They held each other more often and spoke words of love and commitment. Their marriage was being tested along with Louis's identity. Catherine prayed more than she had in years. She asked for strength to face whatever truth emerged. She prayed for Louis's happiness and well-being above all else. She prayed for wisdom to make the right choices for everyone involved. William made a private decision that he shared only with Catherine. Regardless of test results, Louis would always be his son. No piece of paper would change 7 years of fatherhood. Catherine cried when he spoke these words and agreed completely. They would face the results together and protect their family no matter what. The waiting continued, but their commitment to Louis never wavered. The official palace statement. On a Thursday morning at exactly 9:15, the long-awaited call came through. William answered his private line and heard the royal physician's voice. Catherine stood across the room watching her husband's face for any indication of news. The conversation lasted less than 3 minutes, after which William thanked the physician and ended the call. Catherine couldn't read her husband's expression as he set down the phone. Her heart pounded so hard she felt dizzy. William walked toward her slowly and took both her hands. He spoke 3 words that changed everything. Louis was theirs. The DNA results confirmed without any doubt that Prince Louis was the biological son of William and Catherine. Catherine collapsed into William's arms, sobbing with relief. All the fear and uncertainty of the past 2 weeks released in powerful waves. William held her tightly while processing his own emotions. Their son was truly their son. The nightmare was finally over. The couple went immediately to find Louis. He was playing in the garden with George and Charlotte. Catherine swept him into her arms and covered his face with kisses. The boy giggled at his mother's unusual display of affection. William joined the embrace, holding his entire family together. The palace's communications team were informed within the hour, and they began preparing an official statement for public release. Every word required careful consideration to address the speculation while protecting the family's privacy. The statement needed to be clear, definitive, and final. The palace scheduled a press release for 2 o'clock that afternoon. The world waited to learn what testing had revealed. William and Catherine reviewed the draft statement together. It confirmed that comprehensive DNA testing had been conducted through multiple independent laboratories. All results conclusively proved that Prince Louis was the biological child of the Prince and Princess and Duchess of Wales. The palace stated that this action was taken to address recent speculation and provide definitive answers. The statement continued by explaining that the family understood public curiosity but requested privacy moving forward. William and Catherine wanted to focus on their children and normal family life. They thanked everyone who had shown support during a difficult time. The tone remained dignified and firm without expressing anger or blame. Catherine insisted on adding a paragraph about protecting children from harmful speculation. She wanted people to understand how rumors affected young lives. The statement emphasized that Louis and all royal children deserved respect and privacy. Their identities should never become subjects of baseless conspiracy theories. The document was finalized and sent to major news organizations. Within minutes, breaking news alerts appeared on phones around the world. Headlines announced the DNA results and confirmation of Louis's identity. Many people expressed relief and happiness for the family. Others admitted they had believed the speculation and felt embarrassed. Still, some continued questioning the results and suggesting cover-ups. William and Catherine watched news coverage together in their private sitting room. They saw their statement read aloud by anchors and analyzed by royal experts. Most commentators praised the family's transparency and decision to pursue testing. The couple felt vindicated in their choice to address the rumors directly. The other family that had come forward learned about the results through the same public announcement. The couple felt confused relief mixed with disappointment. They had convinced themselves that Thomas might be the lost prince. Now they faced questions about their own son's identity without clear answers. The palace statement said nothing about other families or investigations. Catherine thought about the other family throughout the afternoon. She wondered if they felt abandoned by the announcement. Their concerns had been valid and deserving of attention. She asked William about reaching out to them privately. He agreed they deserved acknowledgement for coming forward with honest questions. Palace lawyers contacted the family that evening. They assures them that separate investigation into Thomas's background would continue privately. The palace took their concerns seriously, regardless of Lewis's confirmed identity. If a hospital mix-up had occurred involving another family, the truth needed discovery. George and Charlotte heard about the announcement from their parents that evening. William explained in simple terms that some people had questions about Louis. Tests proved he was definitely their brother, and everything was fine. The older children accepted this explanation without deep concern. Their family remained intact, and that was all that mattered to them. Louis remained completely unaware of the drama surrounding his identity. He went to bed that night after his usual routine of bath, stories, and goodnight kisses. His parents lingered longer in his room, watching him sleep peacefully. The confirmation of his identity had lifted enormous weight from their shoulders. Catherine posted a brief personal message on social media, thanking people for their support. She included a recent photo of all three children playing together. The image showed a normal, happy family enjoying time together. William met with his communications team to discuss next steps. They would monitor ongoing coverage and address any remaining false claims. The palace would return to normal operations and regular royal duties. This chapter of their lives was officially closed. The couple held each other that night, feeling grateful and exhausted. They had survived a crisis that tested their family in unexpected ways. The experience taught them about the fragility of certainty and the strength of love. Louis's identity was confirmed, but more importantly, their commitment to him as parents had been proven absolute. Nothing would ever threaten their family unity again. Tomorrow they would begin healing and moving forward together. The aftermath and royal family's response. The week following the palace announcement brought unexpected challenges. William and Catherine had hoped the definitive DNA results would end all speculation. Instead, they discovered that conspiracy theories evolved rather than disappeared. Some people refused to believe the official statement and suggested the palace had fabricated results. Catherine felt frustrated by the persistent doubters, but William reminded her they couldn't control everyone's beliefs. They had provided truth and transparency, and anyone choosing to reject facts did so for their own reasons beyond the family's influence. The couple decided to focus on their children rather than fighting endless online battles. Louis returned to his regular activities, including school and playdates. His teachers had been briefed about recent events and watched for any signs of stress. The boy showed no awareness of the controversy surrounding him. His innocence provided relief to his parents, who wanted normal childhood for all their children. William scheduled a private interview with a trusted journalist to discuss the experience. He wanted to explain how the rumors had affected his family on a personal level. The conversation would give them control over the narrative and hopefully discourage future speculation about their children. The interview took place in a comfortable palace sitting room. William spoke candidly about receiving the anonymous letters and feeling his world shake. He described the impossible position of doubting your own child while knowing such doubt was absurd. The journalist listened carefully and asked thoughtful questions. William explained their decision to pursue DNA testing, despite palace advisors suggesting silence. He emphasized that truth was more important than avoiding uncomfortable conversations. Catherine had insisted on transparency, and he supported her completely. They wanted Louis to someday know his parents had chosen honesty. The discussion turned to broader issues about children and privacy. William expressed anger about how quickly people created harmful theories about a 7-year-old boy. Social media had amplified cruel speculation without regard for the real child affected. He called for better protection of all children from online conspiracy theories. Catherine joined the interview for its final portion. She spoke about the emotional impact of questioning whether Louis was truly hers. The bond between mother and child felt unbreakable, yet doubt had crept in during dark moments. DNA confirmation provided relief but also highlighted how fragile certainty could be. The Princess of Wales addressed the anonymous letter writer directly during the interview. She acknowledged that person might have genuinely believed they possessed important information. However, their decision to send anonymous accusations rather than approaching authorities properly had caused unnecessary pain. She hoped they understood the damage their actions created. Both parents discussed protecting George and Charlotte from the controversy. Their older children had heard rumors at school and asked questions at home. William and Catherine explained the situation in age-appropriate terms. They emphasized that families stayed strong through challenges and love never depended on DNA. The interview concluded with Catherine speaking about forgiveness. She chose not to harbor anger toward people who spread speculation. Many had participated in online discussions without considering real-world consequences. She hoped this experience would make everyone more thoughtful about royal children's privacy. The full interview aired some days later and generated significant media coverage. Royal experts praised William and Catherine's honest approach to addressing the crisis. Public opinion shifted further in the family's favor as people understood the emotional impact of the rumors. Palace investigators continued working to identify the anonymous letter writer. They traced postal patterns and analyzed writing samples. Eventually, they discovered the letters came from a former hospital employee who had been terminated years earlier. The person held grudges against the institution and created the entire story for revenge. William and Catherine learned the truth about the letter's origin and felt mixed emotions. Relief that no real mix-up had occurred mixed with anger about manufactured crisis. The former employee had caused tremendous stress for personal vendettas. Legal action was considered, but ultimately dismissed to avoid prolonging the situation. The other family received private communication from palace representatives. Investigation confirmed their son Thomas was indeed their biological child. Any resemblance to Prince Louis was purely coincidental. The family felt embarrassed but grateful for the thorough investigation. They requested privacy to process everything quietly. Catherine sent a personal note to the woman from the other family expressing empathy for their experience. She understood how speculation could make parents question their own certainty. Both mothers had survived difficult weeks of doubt and deserved peace. The woman was deeply touched by the handwritten message and kept it in a private place. The palace implemented new protocols for handling future speculation about royal children. Any claims would be investigated quickly and addressed directly. The family refused to let conspiracy theories grow unchecked again. Protection of the children became the absolute top priority. George asked his parents why people had been mean about Louis. William explained that sometimes people said unkind things without thinking about who they hurt. The important thing was knowing truth and supporting each other as a family. George nodded and promised to always protect his little brother. Charlotte drew a picture of the whole family holding hands. She gave it to Louis and told him he was definitely her real brother. The boy smiled and hugged his sister without understanding the significance. Louis continued his childhood completely unaware of the drama that had surrounded him. He played with toys, attended school, and enjoyed family time. His parents watched him with deeper appreciation for the gift of his presence. They had almost lost him to doubt and fear, but faith had proven stronger. William and Catherine emerged from the crisis with renewed commitment to each other and their family. They understood that royal life would always bring challenges and scrutiny. Facing difficulties together had strengthened their marriage and resolve. Nothing would ever make them doubt their children again. The truth had been confirmed and their family remained whole. They moved forward with gratitude and determination to protect what mattered most. What do you think would have happened if William and Catherine found out Louis wasn't theirs? Let us know your views in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to this channel. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.